Hi, I'm Rob Patz.
And I'm Kristen Stanton.
And this is the Rob and Kristen Show. Welcome to the Rob and Kristen Show and our 4 Ooh, we're back in the kitchen.
You love that.
I love the kitchen. It means I'm going to get something good to eat after this show is over. And especially today, we're going to do something that I'm super excited about.
What's that?
Well, we call them toffee bars. Everybody calls them something different. But my mom always called them toffee bars. And they've got a lot of butter. And
Well, toffee bars from Mama Pat's.
yes. So that's actually, and I'm sure they're not from her. I'm sure they're probably from a.
That's where my recipe came
Yes.
from. So one of the things that when we were dating, I remember texting you and saying, "Hey, what are your favorite kinds of cookies?" Because you were coming out to Ohio to visit during Christmas, and I was planning on a dinner, and because it was our Christmas celebration, even though it was before Christmas.
It was a few days before Christmas, but yeah.
So one of the things that I asked you about, what's one of your favorite cookies? And I remember you were telling me, of course, everybody says that it is not Christmas without sugar cookies. And well, we're going to make sugar cookies, but not today.
Not today.
So the other thing that you were talking about, though, is these toffee bars. Mm-hmm. And I don't know really what they're called because I don't think I'd ever made these before you gave me the recipe. Now, my mom probably has made them, but I had never made them.
They're basically really just a English cookie with chocolate on top.
Lots of butter.
See, again, we're going back to my Scandinavian roots. There is a lot. Just look at how much butter there is. I didn't notice that until we set up the camera, and I did the shot down, and I went, oh my, that's a lot of butter. But it's a super simple recipe to make. I mean, as far as the ingredients, you're looking at very few ingredients. And it's just super easy, but it's delicious, and it's one of those things that, at least for my family, it was with coffee or after lunch and then dinner and then a snack before you went to bed. It covered all of those things.
So one of the things that my mom always used to make that I loved were date pinwheel cookies.
Yes, those are good.
I've never tried my hand at date pinwheel cookies, but I might have to one of these times. Russian tea cake, something my mom always made. Now, obviously
Now, your mom makes your Russian tea cakes a little different than a lot of people do. Tell them what you put in those.
Oh, pecans.
Yeah, pecans instead of walnuts.
Huh. Well, I don't know. My mom, she likes pecans better than walnuts. So almost anytime a recipe calls for nuts, she puts pecans in it.
Which
so.
they're really good. Don't get me wrong, and I'll be eating some here in a couple of weeks. But it's different in that it made it cool. It gave it a different taste, a very sweet taste. This though is a very. I think my mom, and I asked her a little bit about this. She said she made these because it was quick. That was one reason, and she knew I loved him. Now, when I was really little, to be honest, when you see it at the end, there are chocolate chips on the top that melt. I used to peel the chocolate off the top and just eat the chocolate. So, yes, that's my story. But this is a super, super simple recipe, right?
It really is. And I have to get a spatula.
Okay.
So
I'll talk for a second while you go back and
I'm going to get a
spatula.
And so one of the things that you want to make sure of, especially with the toffee bars, is you either save your butter wrapper. That's what I usually do, but it doesn't look very good on TV. So, so save your butter wrapper or use a piece of wax paper, or you can use a spatula, but you're going to want to maybe spray the outside of the spatula a little bit to make sure that the cookie dough, the toffee bar dough does not stick to the spatula. Just to make sure that it spreads well, because you have to press it down into the cookie sheet.
Press down, shaking together?
Yes.
And running over?
Not running over.
We don't want it to run over.
We don't want it to run over.
So while she's back getting a spatula, I want to ask you this. I want to find out, like, did you have a cookie that was kind of traditional in your family? Did you have something now, like Kristen and Sophia make thumbprint cookies every year together?
We do.
And but I mean, do you have something? And here's something, of course, we learned recently. You can also contact us through our app and tell us. Now, I'm finding out that a lot of those same people that were contacting me before, and I thought it was email, those are people that are actually going through our app to do it. And so it's really cool. So you've got the spatula. It's ready to go.
Yep, and I'm just gonna pull up my sleeves a little bit, and we are gonna get into this. We've got our oven already preheated at 350 degrees. Now, if you've watched the show before, you know that my oven does bake a little bit hot. And so I will probably check the toffee bars a little bit before the timer is up. So we are going to take and you see the size of pan we have, it's a pretty good size pan. So I've doubled the recipe. So what we're doing is we're using the large, I don't know, cake sheet pan.
You really are going to ask me that? That question.
I wasn't really asking.
So look at the butter, though. That is glorious butter.
Yeah, we're not being sponsored, but you know, when you're making cookies that have a large amount of butter in it,
yes,
make sure you get good butter.
Good butter. Quality butter.
We have 4 sticks of butter. 4 sticks. So you know, my dad would love this because he loves anything that has a lot of butter.
Well, yeah, I'm going to tell on him. We get a chance. We get a chance to go out on occasion, not as often as we used to, but we still get a chance to go out on occasion and have breakfast together. Jerry's the first man I ever met that butters his omelet. I have never met anyone that. Now, if you butter your omelet, like, I mean, seriously, like butter, like you butter bread, he butters his omelet. Sorry, Jerry, if you're watching, I'm telling on you here. But I'd never heard of that. Did you butter your omelet when you were a kid? Okay.
No, never buttered anything.
No.
So.
I just things I just wonder. A lot of brown sugar. Is that the exact number?
This is 2 cups of brown sugar.
I love brown sugar. I can eat with a spoon.
2 cups of brown sugar.
Which right there, you're good. If you've got brown sugar and butter, you can just mix that together and put it on a stovetop and Have you ever done that? It's kind of like the glaze for like yams and stuff.
How you start a caramel sauce.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you need. You don't even need any more.
And so we're going to put in some vanilla. So we've got, because I doubled it, so we have 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So we're going to put that in there too. And this is probably why your mom liked it, because you just dump everything in there together. Now we have two egg yolks.
No yolks. Or we actually, 2 yolks.
2 yolks. All right.
If you're older, you remember the whole Sesame Street. Remember the count?
Yes.
Oh,
I do remember
two
the count.
cookies.
So we're gonna mix this a little bit. It's gonna take a little bit of time because there is so much butter there.
Okay.
So we do have to let that mix up a little bit, and we're creaming it really well. And
What's
then
that called?
we're creaming it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I did not know. See, I learned something.
But if you can see, now they can't see it, but you can see it. See how the butter is starting to not stick to the paddle anymore?
Yes. And that's what that's called?
Well, you want to get it all mixed up because you've got your sugar and you have your butter, and so you don't want it to be like super grainy. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're doing.
Now, it wouldn't be healthy to eat this because the eggs. Now, when I was little, we didn't know anything about that. We used to lick.
Yes.
Yeah. Raw eggs, who cares, But no, when I was young, my mom used to let me lick whatever that thing is called. What is that called? The thing that makes...
The beaters?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We always used to call them beaters. This is actually a paddle. But back then we had like the
So
mixer.
if your cookies are naughty, you paddled them?
Well, back then we had the
Oh yeah,
the mixers
your mom,
with the two.
Mom did that, and then she in the bowl. Oh, and that was
I
awesome.
love your sound effects.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because we're a low budget television show, so we can't afford real sound effects.
So we're gonna mix in flour. Now we've got 4 cups of flour, and we have a half of a teaspoon of salt. So usually I would put this in a little bit at a time because and half it's gonna end up there's so much flour in this little bowl.
Should I tilt it back or?
Oh, I'm trying. So we're gonna mix a little bit with that because we don't want to put it all in there at once.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've gotten to do a lot of fun Christmas stuff so far. We've been to see, last week we went to see the cruise through.
Yeah, we did the cruise through.
That was
There's
fun.
video that you haven't seen yet.
Yes.
We saw Santa multiple times.
Yes.
Santa's been busy.
We went to see the Nutcracker.
We did.
That is an annual tradition for us, and you've been to see it how many times?
More than I want to admit. My mom and I were talking about it, and we believe that this would have been my either 35th or 36th time to see the Nutcracker. And so a big part of our family and wonderful, just a wonderful time. I mean, to me, that says Christmas. Christmas lights do too, and family and all of those things. But one of the traditions, of course, is the Nutcracker. And man, that's going to town now. Hey,
Yeah.
one thing we do, and we talked about all the cool stuff, is check out the cool tree that we
Yes.
have on our set today. And we had a wonderful time. Kristen sang, and they even let me talk, which of course, they didn't know about that. Kristen sprung that on them. But we had a great time, and it was a great church. Dave made these, right?
He did. He said he made them out of barnwood that was 100 years old.
And the church, give everybody the church in case they're in Fort Wayne area and they need a church to go to. This is a fantastic church.
It is the Baptist Church in New Haven.
New Haven. And they're awesome. They treated us so well. We were there for their banquet last night, their Christmas banquet, and it was so much fun. They let me talk, which made it even funner, which is not a word. I know, don't come at me, but I had funner doing that.
Of course, we had to tell them a little bit about some of the things that we've learned doing our top 5 here on the Rob and Kristen show.
And people seemed to like it, or at least it was kind of like a pity thing.
Politely
it may
laughing.
have been a pity thing.
No.
But they're a great church, and we want to thank them and their pastor for inviting us. And we got one of these were the centerpieces. And like Kristen said, it's 100-year-old barnwood. And so we love that kind of stuff. It is going to have a permanent home in our home. and be a permanent part of our celebrations.
He also made ornaments out of wood.
Yes.
He made ornaments to give everybody that was there for the banquet. It was just
Yeah, not everybody got one of these.
No.
We were very fortunate.
We won.
Thanks, Dave. If you're watching, Dave.
We won it. But it was really such a fun time. And, it's not something that you and I have ever done together. We've not been able to...
Won anything?
No, go to a Christmas party like that.
Like that, definitely.
And it was so much
So
fun.
if you have a Christmas party next year and you'd like to invite Rob and Kristen to come, or if you just want Kristen to come, I totally understand. We'd love to hear from you. And we'd love to come and partake in they had great food. It was just
awesome.
a fun time. Okay, so now we have done the blending part.
Well, and we certainly hope. Usually I take longer to do this because I'm usually doing other stuff while it's mixing. But we are going to take this and we are going to hope that all of the flour is mixed in.
It looks good.
Well, there's still more in there, but yes. And you can see how thick this is. It's almost like a crust.
There you go.
There's still some in there.
Yep, you're gonna have to get in there with your spatula and get that.
Get in
extra
here
good
with the
stuff.
spatula.
The goodness out. Get all the goodness.
But we've had a lot of fun. There are still some things that we want to do for Christmas. Now, last week you talked about the fact that we really haven't done any Christmas shopping. That really has not changed.
Yes, the update on that, if there's a graphic Christmas present update, it's...
Maybe next week.
We've at least looked this week. You have to say that. Give us an A for looking.
See, this is why you use your butter wrapper, because...
Hey, we should talk about that really quick.
It's our clock.
That is our clock from our anniversary. We went to, we went to a lot of places. You saw that. We were in...
On our way home.
Yes.
We stopped in Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Yes.
And we decided we wanted to get something to commemorate our anniversary.
Yes.
And so we went to a clock shop and we bought we looked at a bunch of different ones and we bought a clock.
We did. We were really excited about that. We we wanted something that would last.
It's just still not. So the other option is you just use your fingers.
That's what I did. I think that's what my mom used to do.
Well, my hands are clean, by the way, but I usually use the butt piece of wrapper from the butter because I don't like my fingers getting all greasy. My niece, when we make the thumbprint cookies, I don't know if that's really what they're called or not, but that's what we call them, the thumbprint cookies. My dad loves those, and so my niece Sophie and I will be making those next week when she's here, and you
might remember Sophia from our vacation video. She was our special reporter.
Yes.
She's coming back to help us again.
Yes, she had texted me and asked if we could make the thumbprint cookies for the show. And so, of course, we can. It's perfect because we were going to do baking. And, hey, why not have the special reporter and the person who always helps me make the cookies?
One of the great traditions that Kristen and Sophia has, they spend a weekend together when school's out. We get...
Yeah, it's before Christmas. It started because my brother would have his office Christmas party, and so she was little, and so she would need a babysitter, and so she would come and spend I think first she spent like one night with me, and then it just was like that for like maybe a year or two, and then she came for the whole weekend. And so we have fun things that we'll do, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But there are things like Friday night, all of the time, every year we go to Build-A-Bear.
Yes.
And so she's got so many Build-A-Bears.
That is so cool, though. And then usually, now the tradition changed when I got on the scene because I guess you didn't get pizza prior.
No, we got pizza one time last year. But
was it just last year?
It was just last year.
Really?
Yeah, because you wanted it. But usually on Friday nights, historically on Friday nights, Sophie and I would always, after we'd come home from Build-A-Bear, I would make quesadillas and sometimes make rice, and then we would watch Christmas movies. And then, like, lots of Christmas movies. And then Saturday, we would get up and make Christmas cookies.
Yes.
So, and we would make, when she was really little, we would make gingerbread cookies, and then we would make these thumbprint cookies. We would make sugar cookies, lemon sugar cookies. We would make,
Wow.
We made so many different kinds of cookies, and I think that most of the time when she was really little, she would sit right here and she would watch.
In the studio? She was in the studio?
In the studio.
In the studio.
So she would sit at the counter and she would watch Christmas movies or Christmas cartoons if she was really, really young.
Aww.
So, but it was fun. And then, of course, we would go out Christmas shopping. She and I would go out Christmas shopping, and usually, we would pick up something. I would always ask her, who do you want to go shopping for? Do you want to get something for Mama and Papa, Mommy and Daddy, your cousins? And she gets something for her cousins every year, and then the rest of the time it just depends upon who she feels like buying stuff for. And sometimes we make things.
Yes.
So I don't know if maybe we'll end up making something when she's here.
And then we get to, the best part for me is I get to try the cookies.
Yes. My dad usually texts us when we're making the cookies, and it's like, hey, make sure that you bring a dozen over for me.
Yes. Now I'm going to be gone. I'm bummed. I'm going to be gone for part of the cookie making experience. So my schedule has not allowed me to be here for the whole time, but I will definitely be back in time for the cookies.
Well, we are going to put this in the oven. It's for 25 to 30 minutes, and then I'm going to check it at about 20. So I'm going to set the timer for about 20 minutes or so to make sure that it doesn't overbake. You don't want this to overbake because otherwise it'll be hard.
It's be crunchy and we don't want
And
that.
trust me, I did that the first time I made it. So,
So we'll be back. And we're back. Woo! And it's done. It smells so good. I can't wait till they invent the ability for you to be able to smell what we're doing, because this is incredible smelling. So what do we do?
So what we're gonna do, when you get this out of the oven, it should be golden brown like this, maybe a little bit less time. I told you my oven bakes hot, and I even checked it early. So you're gonna take chocolate chips. Now the recipe calls for milk chocolate chips. I didn't have any milk chocolate chips, so use what you have.
That's right.
And I am using these semi-sweet mini chips just because I feel like, they help, it melts a little bit better. And so another thing too is if they're not melting, you can always just put it back in the oven really briefly and it will melt them. So you can do that, and then you're gonna spread the chocolate around.
Oh, yeah. So we quickly, that's not easy to say either, quickly popped it back in the oven, and now, voila.
Yeah, I think I put it in for maybe about a minute or so just to get that chocolate melted. You might not have to do that if you hit the toffee bars right away when you get them out of the oven. And unfortunately, sometimes when you're doing stuff for TV, you can't do things right away. So we put them back in the oven. Milk chocolate obviously also will melt quicker. So we are gonna just, these really need to cool, but Rob does not want them to cool.
I don't want to wait to cool. I want you to share. Oh my, that's going to be a train
Yeah.
wreck.
No. Yeah, he wants to try this without it cooling as I get chocolate all over my sweater.
Yeah. That's close enough.
All right.
All right. Hey, listen, we'll come back and we've got part 3 of our teaching. Well, you know what?
Take a little bite.
Right after this. Oh, awesome.
Really good?
I have been so excited about these great teachings over this past couple of weeks. And Kristen, where are we today?
We are going to be in Luke chapter 1 again. If you remember the last couple of weeks, we talked about, do you see what I see? Do you hear what I hear? And today we are going to be talking about, do you know what I know? And so if you go back and you watch our shows on demand,
Yes.
they will be. But if you go back and you watch, if you missed the first 2 episodes of this series, you're going to want to go back and watch them because we talked about this. And this is all coming from Luke chapter 1, the story about Zachariah and Elizabeth and how the angels told them that they were going to conceive and have a baby, and they were well stricken in years.
Yeah, I'm really starting to not like that whole well stricken thing.
So today we're going to be back in Luke chapter 1, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about just briefly was the fact that when the angel visited Zachariah in when he was in doing the work of the temple, it says the angel answered him and said, "I'm Gabriel." And we talked about this last week. "I am Gabriel who stands in the presence of God, and I am sent to speak unto you. And behold, you shall be dumb and not able to speak until the day that these things are performed." And that was because he didn't necessarily believe the angel when the angel told him that. So that was where we were talking about last week is, do you hear what I hear? And today we're talking about, do you know what I know? Because you know that he could not speak. He knew these things in his heart, but he couldn't speak them to anybody. He couldn't tell anybody. Have you ever had something that you've just wanted to tell people and you knew you couldn't?
Oh,
I don't know why I'm asking you that.
That's every day.
But he had this news and he couldn't tell anybody. But I want to skip ahead a little bit because after this happened, and then the angel visited Mary, and you know the story. An angel visited Mary and told her that, behold, you're going to have a son, and his name is going to be Jesus the Christ. And the angel told her all of these things, and Mary believed it. And then this is what I love, and this is a part of what we're talking about. In verse 39, it says, "And Mary arose in those days and went into the hill country with haste." She was in a hurry. Have you ever been so excited then you've got to tell somebody right now?
Oh, yeah.
So Mary went, and she went with haste into a city of Judah, and she entered into the house of Zachariah, and she saluted Elizabeth. So this is what I want to point out. "And it came to pass," verse 41, "that when Elizabeth heard the salutation of Mary, the babe leaped in her womb." The baby leaped in Elizabeth's womb when he heard the voice of Mary, who was going to be the mother of Jesus. The baby inside Elizabeth knew what a lot of people that lived at that time didn't know, and what a lot of people today still don't know, but it was something inside her that the baby recognized who God was. And that to me is just absolutely incredible, that a child that's not even been born yet would leap at the sound of Mary's voice. And it's so important when God has something for you that you not be afraid to share it with people, because you never know when the words that you speak are going to have a positive impact. And when you know the things that you know about God, about the creator of the universe, about the one who sent Jesus Christ to die on the cross, and that's the whole reason that we celebrate Christmas, is because he was born as a baby, but he was born to die. And you need to tell people what you know.
That is so awesome. We talked about that, you know. We've talked about that at the time that we went and spoke a couple of days ago. And so we want to tell you this, again, from Kristen and I. Go out and live an abundant life.